39's Mike McGuff found out what you need to know before making your golden sales. Mike?
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want a little extra money? Because the price of gold is very, very high right now. So jewelers say it is a good time to make some cash. It was here at this apartment complex off Dixie Farm Road where Texas City and Houston police officers arrested Terrell without incident. Well, yeah, it's cold out here, but clear. There is no snow. And speaking of snow, obviously Houston drivers not known for their icy and snow driving ability. So the city is going to close up shop tomorrow. The Balboa apartment staff refused to go on camera or give us a written statement, but we can report we did see improvements being made to the property today. This is a Glock 19 like the one suspected shooter Jared Loeffner used. Store owner Jim Pruitt says guns like these have been selling well this week. And now for the reason I've never personally had a live Christmas tree in my house, allergies. And if you want a tree that's supposedly not going to make you sneeze, you need to meet the Cypress family, Leland and Murray. So how does it work? Well, skimming can happen in an instant. The bad guys get your PIN code with a hidden camera, and you don't even realize it.
39's Mike McGuff is now joining us live from the newsroom. And Mike, you spoke with several representatives who are now saying that this shooting will not affect their contact with constituents.
They say absolutely not, and they do say they received security alerts from Washington right after the shooting. And while threats are a part of the job, they say business must continue as normal. Before you run out and buy Uncle Buster or Aunt Teresa that gift on layaway, to use a Texas term, hold your horses. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking here, but people are wondering what happened to the Richmond Strip, especially after the closure of the very famous Magnolia Bar and Grill. 20 years ago, the Richmond Strip in southwest Houston was hopping. Location and a big population helped the Strip thrive. But things cooled off by the late 90s, and then I'm sure you heard the reports of shootings and other crime in the area.
Firearms, automobiles, and alcohol in too great a concentration, I think.
John Nova Lomax of the Houston Press has been covering the Strip for years. He remembers names like Club 6400, Yucatan Liquor Stand, Club Blue Planet, and Billy Blues. Those days are gone, but places like Dave & Buster's still remain. Lomax believes a major problem was the fact clubs were scattered down a long stretch of road, mixed in with normal businesses. Tough to walk, especially after a few cold ones. Plus drinking, driving, and traffic don't mix. The party moved into other areas like downtown and midtown. Now it's hot on the Washington corridor. But Lomax thinks Richmond's transportation problems could affect Washington eventually, too.
I do think Washington is really trying hard to avoid that with like jitneys and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of sort of treacherous little bottlenecks.
But club owners on Richmond say don't count the Strip out just yet. New joints are opening. Scott Gertner's Sports Bar Live is a new addition in the last few years. His family believes it's all about location, location, location.
Don't forget, it's very, very convenient for all parts of the city. And it's right off the freeway, which makes it very good.
Plus, there is also a nostalgia factor that keeps longtime Houstonians coming back.
It's an area that I'm familiar with because I'm from the Houston area, and you know, a lot of my friends come here and we have happy hour after work and things like that. So it's a comfortability that I'm familiar with.
Of course, anyone in the club world, they're going to tell you this business is very cyclical. What was hot yesterday could definitely be hot again tomorrow. Mike McGuff, 39 News.
39's Mike McGuff has the story on how the city is trying to change that.
Here's a story that affects everyone who comes to Galveston as a tourist. Bathrooms, or the lack thereof, that is. The city is coming up with some unique ideas to help you when nature calls. Waves of tourists flood Galveston Island to enjoy the water, but for this story, we're focusing on this type of water.
When I gotta go to the bathroom and then they're like, no, you can't, only employees, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I can't work here, okay, automatically.
Tourists say areas like the Strand need more places to do your business. But the city isn't exactly flush with cash, if you know what I mean. One solution, the city would pay business owners to open their toilets to the public. That city money would pay for the extra use and cleaning. The store owners say the money for all the extra traffic to their bathroom isn't worth it.
If it's 10,000 people on the Strand on Saturday, I can't put the 10,000 people in my store. They're going to tear everything up.
Other concerns include liability and theft. Instead, they just say, put more public restrooms out there.
There's a lot of parking lots on the Strand and 25th and 22nd and 21st that are empty. They can use one of the car size of parking, and they can go ahead and put the bathroom.
No one from the city of Galveston was available to talk to us on camera today. Reporting from Galveston, Mike McGuff, 39 News.
Mike?
Well, Mia Graves was wrongfully convicted of murdering a family, including 4 children, and burning their Somerville house down. Today, as a free man, he is working hard to catch up. After nearly 20 years, society and technology have greatly changed, but just because he is free doesn't mean his troubles are over yet.
So when I walked out the doors, I thought finally it was over. Only to come to realize that another fight has just begun.
Anthony Graves, released from death row last October, is talking about his new challenge. Under state law, someone wrongfully convicted of a crime can get compensation for every year spent behind bars. For Graves, that could total $1.4 million. The problem? 2 words. The phrase actual innocence did not appear in his release documents. Therefore, the state says Graves is not eligible for the money.
From a legal perspective, or moral or ethical perspective, how you can deny a man his just compensation after your state has tried to murder him for 18 years.
Graves and his attorneys have vowed to fight. Otherwise, after 4 months, Graves, who lives in Pflugerville, is adjusting to life on the outside. He holds no ill will to those who incorrectly put him behind bars. It's a change from when he was a prisoner and thought he was losing faith in people, when no one listened to him. That all changed when legal experts got in his corner.
Oh, I can't put that in words. That's an emotion that I can't even describe.
I just couldn't believe that people wouldn't care that there was an innocent man on death row. And it just seems as though we felt as though if we kept struggling, that we would eventually get someone's attention and we would be able to help right an injustice.
Now Graves spends time with family, including his 3 boys who became men while he was locked up. He's also sharing his story, spotlighting his call for a change in the criminal justice system.
Therefore, that these people we're entrusting, we, as another state, should hold them more accountable.
Graves was in town sharing his story tonight at the University of St. Thomas, where his attorney is also a professor. He also told us he's been offered a job where he can help inmates just like himself. Mike McGuff, 39 News.
39's Mike McGuff is live at the scene with more. Mike?
Yeah, Marcy, a really terrible story out here. We're told 7 children were inside the house operating as Jackie's Childcare. 3 have died, and now there are lots of unanswered questions. When firefighters showed up to the house on Crest Park Lane and Park Hollow Place, there was a lot of smoke.
We only saw smoke, and they cut a hole in the roof and a lot of the smoke out. And then they were, after that, they were bringing babies out and running them to the emergency vehicles.
Neighbor Sandy Sawyer is an acquaintance of the woman who runs the daycare called Jackie's Childcare. It's operated out of the house.
Had to break some glass. I don't know why, but then she passed out.
We use the thermal imagers or the cameras that we can have some type of visibility through the smoke. We started counting the numbers. We identified 7 children.
Those children ranged in age from 18 months to 3 years. They were taken to the hospital. Firefighters say 4 children had CPR performed on them in the ambulance.
This is like a worst case scenario of things that, you think could happen with that kind of responsibility on you, It's rough. She's having a hard time.
Well, according to the state, Jackie's Childcare owner Jessica Tata was cited a year ago to this date for not having enough fire extinguishers and a lack of carbon monoxide detectors. The state says those issues were corrected the very next day, though, and we'll have a lot more coming up tonight at 9. Reporting live on the west side, Mike McGuff, 39 News. That's right. There was a ton of passion and support at the Houston protest. More than 100 members of our Egyptian community showed up to make sure their homeland's protests are not in vain.
We want freedom, we want change. Y'all like Egypt and the beach.
That's what they want. They want change.
Sarah Hamad, one of many in Houston showing support for change in Egypt, born in the U.S. but considers Egypt her home.
They need everyone to hear them, and that's the only way that we can get change. It's not coming from within. It's going to come from outside. That's why we're out here now.
Down, Mubarak! Down, Mubarak!
Down, down for Mubarak, free Egypt now. That was the chant from Houston protesters earlier.
I don't know anything about their safety. I don't know what is happening down there. I don't know. Are they even alive or not? I don't know what is happening.
Hisham Asa, a Baylor College of Medicine medical student, cannot talk to his family back home in Egypt. The country has killed the internet and mobile phones, a major factor in protest organization.
To get 20 or 30,000 out in one place, social networking is huge. It organizes them and helps us get through to everyone everywhere.
This after an estimated group of 20,000 hit the streets this week calling for a change in leadership. There has been violence. Now those of Egyptian heritage in Houston are also calling for the 30-year rule of President Mubarak to end.
He should have been thrown out of power very early. I mean, what has he done for the country? What has he done for any of us?
In 2009, the world watched the same call for change in Iran thanks to the internet. While the government stayed in power there ultimately, Houston protesters are optimistic for a different result in Egypt.
It'll change. It might not change today or tomorrow, but this is the start. This is the way that revolution works, right?
Now, the consulate here tells me it has not heard from Egypt since the protests started. As for local protests, there will be another one in the same location this Sunday at 2:30 in the afternoon. Mike McGuff, 39 News. Grace Presbyterian Church on the west side was full as the Stratford High School community celebrated 33-year-old Christopher Matthews. A teacher and coach, they say, was always there for his students. They still can't believe he's actually gone.
I choked by tears today.
He was a great man. He was a great teacher. He was a great father. And just to see him go really makes us all in grievance right now.
Chris was an everyday hero, an unsung hero, and spent his life as a role model to all of us.
It was here in this parking lot a couple of Fridays ago where Coach Matthews was attacked. He later died at an area hospital. Matthews' alleged attacker was 51-year-old Ronald Lee Newman. Matthews had been walking Newman's wife to her car from a restaurant when police say Newman punched Matthews, who fell to the ground, hit his head, which rendered him unconscious. He died the following Sunday. It's important to note police say there is no reason to believe there was any ongoing relationship between the suspect's wife and Matthews. A memorial made of flowers and signs for the coach has been growing on the fence of the Stratford soccer field. We saw a Dr. Pepper bottle left for him by a student, a favorite drink of the coach's. Now students must learn a new lesson, how to cope with the loss of someone who they say touched their lives.
It was so unexpected, and like everybody's speech is lost for words, so there's not too much words to say. Speechless.
Now, suspect Ronald Lee Newman was charged with aggravated assault and was released on $30,000 bond. Court records show Newman was charged in 2004 with assault on a family member, but those were later dismissed. Meanwhile, Matthews is survived by his wife and 3 children, one a freshman at Stratford High School. Mike McGuff, 39 News.